So by age 11, I realized that there were professionals doing what I was doing, and
Well,
that maybe I
let's talk
could.
about one of those professionals, Neil. I want to know, who is Dr. Mark Chartrand? I think I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Yeah,
And
you are actually.
what impact did he have on your life?
So there I am. I attended. You go to the public show of the Hayden Planetarium. There's back then there was four per year, one per season, and once you've done that, you can ask, is there anything more? Well, there are the exhibits that surround the planetarium at the American Museum of Natural History, but there's even more. All right, any good institution, as is the American Museum of Natural History, has uh, um, programs that go beyond just the static exhibits. So, in fact, there were evening classes in modern astrophysics. The Amateur Astronomy Club, which I joined, also had evening, well, no, there weren't classes, but there was a lecture series. So I attended the classes and the lecture series while in middle school. And this further stoked my interest. And in doing so, I got to see science educators, scientists, as well as scientists for the first time, sort of in action. And Mark Chartrand was the director, back then we called it the chairman of the Hayden Planetarium at the time. So that's title, okay, fine. But he also taught classes. And I took a class on modern astrophysics from him. And I was just so impressed by how much he knew about the universe. And I could not imagine knowing that much about. I mean, it was like, is this even possible? How does one even attain this? And I thought to myself, it would take a lifetime studying this, because everything that people asked him, he knew about black holes and the Big Bang and the planets and the sun and galaxies, and I was starstruck by it, and not knowing that, of course, to obtain that to acquire that much information, you go to college and you major in a subject, and then you go to graduate school. He has a PhD. So you add all that up, that's at least 8 years, 9 years, sometimes 10 years of devotion to that subject. But I'm only 13 at the time. so, so 10 years when you're 13 feels like an eternity. But I knew I was in love with the subject. And so whatever it would take, um, it would not stand in my way. And I would just pursue this goal, because I said to myself, if I'm ever an astrophysicist, I want to know as much about the universe as he does. So for me, it was a mentor by example, not because we had daily exchanges of mentor-mentee relationship. It was just, I'm in the class and he's there, and I see he has this expertise. And add to that, was probably on your list you were going to get to, someone else named, um, was a guy who was one of the major lecturers at the planetarium, and he did a lot of the live sky shows, and his name was Fred Hess. And he was quite the storyteller, an educator. So he wasn't a professional astrophysicist, but he was a professional educator, and he taught science. And just to hear him speak, he had such a facility with words. Sometimes when people say you have a facility with words, it means you use big words, and then no, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about his capacity to communicate an idea in a way that you cared about, and in a way where you just wanted to learn more, no matter what it was. And he traveled the world chasing eclipses, by the way, because eclipses don't come to you. You have to go to them. I'm talking about solar eclipses. So he's a big eclipse chaser. Every place he went, he had stories from those times, and the people that he met, and the science that unfolded. So I said to myself, if I'm ever an educator, I want to be able to have the capacity to instill in who's listening the level of interest and enthusiasm that he was instilling in me. And both of those were happening at around the same time in middle school. So my middle school years were quite transformative for me.